evening, everybody, and welcome to the best doggone podcast in the land with Ethan and Heather. It is game week. I'm Ethan Greenberg. Alongside of me is my co-host, Heather. And down below, our guest, it's Cord, a.k.a. Ghost. What is it? You are the ghost of Texas football, right?
Yes, sir. Made that account the day that we lost to Kansas at Darrell K. Royal Stadium in 2021. So it was definitely kind of leaning into the struggles.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. It is game week. College football is back. Ohio State and Texas set to play on Saturday. Big noon kickoff live from the Horseshoe in Columbus, Ohio. All the big names will be there. I'm not going to be watching big noon kickoff. I got to be honest. I'm probably going to watch to see Lee Corso. Final headgear.
Yeah, I might watch both. I mean, it's Lee Corso, yeah, but poor Lee Corso. He should have retired like 14 years ago. I feel like it's like a Weekend at Bernie's thing where they're just propping him up right now. And I mean, that's terrible to say, but
it is. It's like Dick Clark at the end after the poor guy had a smoking. They were still hauling him out there for Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve. And it was rough. It was a rough go, but I'm glad he's going out where he started the headgear tradition in Columbus. And I don't know. All right, guys, this is off the hook. Outside the script, is he going to go Buckeyes or Longhorns? Cord, what say you?
Well, first, I want to say I definitely agree with you guys. I think if he has this swan song, this last goodbye a decade ago, for some, maybe Heather, it would hit a little bit harder. Because for me, of course, I feel the same way. He has kind of been propped up, not just now, but the last couple of years. But yeah, I'll have to check it out and watch. I think Corso will probably appease the Buckeye fans.
Yeah,
we'll go Ohio State. We'll, an ode to where it started. I mean, it makes sense, So I lean to think he chooses the Buckeyes.
Heather, what about you?
I agree. The only reason, I don't even know if he necessarily believes that Ohio State's going to win, but you can't go out on your last show not choosing the team that you went on your first show with. So I just think for nostalgia and for the hype of the crowd and everything, he goes with the Buckeyes.
Yeah, I think so as well. It ought to be great. I'm going to have to try and check in with my niece who's in her third year at Ohio State. I think I need boots on the ground down there, find out what's going on and what I'm missing and all the craziness and hysteria down there. It's kind of amazing. It's still on my bucket list to actually go to an Ohio State game. Never been, but I'll say que sera, sera. Folks, thank you for tuning in. We will be joined shortly as well by another guest, Ann Parker Coleman, a sports reporter and anchor at KVUE News, an ABC affiliate in Austin, Texas. She will be joining us here shortly. She had to actually work tonight and cover some high school football in Texas. I don't know, Cord, is football big in Texas?
It's funny because I live in a town where it's probably the lowest on the priority list out of everywhere in the state. But yeah, if you leave my little area, it's all people talk about, man. Thursday night, Friday night, you have Saturday games with some of these bigger schools, especially non-district matchups. You go and they're traveling across, not the entire state, but some pretty lengthy road trips, playing some neutral site games. And that has that college football feel to it, man, because the crowds are the coolest part. The crowds, the bands, I mean, they light it up. I'm from a place, I graduated with 23 people. 1,000 population in my hometown, and you would have 8,000 people at some of those football games. Math doesn't make sense, right? But just people come watch football. It was really, really fun to be a part of.
It's like awesome. A religion, right? Like it's like that. And we talk about a lot about like why sports matter. And you see these stories and you see a lot of these things that just bring people together. And that's why it matters. It doesn't matter, the game itself. Yeah, it matters. But you find this common ground with people. You find this, like we're finding common ground with each other, even though we root for different teams. We love football. We love college football. The season is here. You meet new people, you become friends with different people. So it's just, that's why it matters. And that's why Friday Night Lights is huge.
What is that? Clear heart, or is it clear heart?
Clear eyes,
clear
full heart.
Full heart, can't lose. I heart, eyes, lose. I love them. I love the show. That was a good show. I also enjoyed the Friday Night Lights movie.
Same.
Movie. Come on, Booby Miles. you know.
And he can pass. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So wow.
Or tell us, before we get into this, we didn't do a proper introduction. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about what you're doing, what your projects are. Like I said, I watched, some of your stuff, guys. Give him a follow. It's really good stuff. Again, it doesn't matter if you like Texas or not. It matters if you like college football. It matters if you like sports. It matters if you like football. So,
well, thank you for that.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, just a diehard Texas fan. I self-admittedly, I flunked out of UT, so I can't even call myself a grad, but love Texas. I've had the Longhorn tattooed right underneath this logo, just above my heart for 2 decades now. My dad instilled the, love in me, or loving not just Texas, but college football in general very early in my life. And so down here, I was kind of local in a spot where I'm close to Baylor University, close to Texas A&M, close to Texas, just kind of neutrally located right there. And, I had a lot of friends and family that rooted for each other. And so that part of the banter was always easy for me. You always could find an argument, if you wanted one. It was really, really easy to do that. You could be in the lunch line and you'd argue for it with an Aggie. The next day, Reggie Bush was popular back then. So everybody loved USC, Notre Dame. You guys, when y'all had Ted Ginn and Troy Smith running around, there was in my 23 people class, I saw a Buckeye shirt one time. I was like, what the hell is going on down here? But you could tell.
Whoa.
Yeah, going back to your point, football is very, very important here. And so for me, former high school coach, got out of that during COVID. I have 3 young ones, and it got to the point of where I was missing too many things for my liking. And so I made that choice, and I have a big respect for all the coaches that can balance family at home and attend things, and then also put their full foot forward as far as giving their team the best chance to win every time they step on the field. Big respect for those guys. Both of my brothers still in the coaching department, and so still miss that. I really, really do. I used to call plays, and that was a lot of fun, scheming up things that could be the defense every week. But yeah, I got into just having fun on Twitter, trying to have a community where we could talk ball without taking it to heart and really upsetting people. Yeah, we make jabs and have some fun. And of course, people can be sensitive at times, myself included. But at the end of the day, I mean, like we said, we're all just people behind the logos and the colors. And so that turned into a podcast last July. Thought, we can do this. We can do it on camera. So bring on guests like y'all would do with me. Whoever Texas is playing, SEC roundtable type of action, for a full year, that was kind of the plan, just to have some fun with it. And then I was like, hey, let's branch out a little bit. Let's hire some people. Let's represent each conference. Hey, Ann. Hi.
Hey,
guys.
Sorry.
Hey, how are y'all?
Thank you for joining us. We're so excited. We know that you're working, so thank you.
Yeah. No, I'm so sorry that I'm late, guys. I literally just ran onto a high school football field, shot a few highlights, and now I'll do this in the car, and I'll go back to the studio and produce our 10 o'clock show and anchor. So kind of a normal day in the fall, which is literally just running around. So it's a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, the madness of football, right? Like, it's here, it's starting, it's in full swing now. We're week 1. We're not in week 0 anymore. We are week 1. So
yeah, I know it's really exciting. It's well worth the hype, I think, too.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you so much for being us. Again, this is Ann Parker Coleman. And remember, it is Ann Parker. It is not just Ann. It is Ann Parker, or as the people, her close friends get to call her AP. I don't know if I can call her AP or not.
Ethan, I'm going to your daughter's bat mitzvah. You can absolutely call me AP. We're those kind of friends now.
Oh, I love it. I love it. This is awesome. Well, AP, as I said to the folks before, you're a sports reporter and anchor at KVUE News, an ABC affiliate in Austin, Texas. You're a grad of the University of Virginia up here down the road from me in Charlottesville. And you were previously the sports director at CBS 19 in Charlottesville. You told me your brothers played at UVA. Football's in your blood.
It is, yes. Both of my brothers were punters. Big position, very important. But then, of course,
position. I actually do agree with you, because
hey, special teams matter.
Yeah, I love that. That's the position I would want to be. I'm not going to get tackled, and I'm going to make at least the league minimum. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a very cushy job, but it's so funny. I feel like my dad obviously as any dad, was so proud of both my brothers, as he should be, for playing college football. I look at them out there, I'm like, they have the cushiest job on the field. This is not that hard. I personally am in the career that I am now because I was just vying for attention, and I couldn't kick a football as far as them, so I turned to the broadcast side of sports.
Hey, I can't play either. That's why I do broadcasting. I tried to turn my son into a kicker. He practiced out in the front yard last year, and he retired. He retired on me,
Yeah.
and that's okay. It just doesn't work in the bloodlines. The genes were not in his favor. So again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to join us, as well as Cord. Again, Cord, Ghost of Texas Football. We were just talking to Cord. He was telling us about it, all of his work, his podcast. AP, what else are you? I mean, you're obviously very busy at work. Do you have any other projects or things that you do outside of just doing the sports anchor and the reporting?
Yeah, I guess if you look at my job in Austin, Texas, you would automatically think Texas football. And don't get me wrong, that is such a huge part of what we do, but we do cover all Texas sports as well as Texas State, which is just 30 minutes down the road from Austin. I was with GJ Kinney, I guess last week for a sit-down interview to help preview their season. And so that is airing tonight, and I would kind of push everybody to Twitter because I will have that one-on-one interview up tomorrow morning. And I say all of that to plug my story, and then I'm like, wait a second, we're talking about the Ohio State-Texas game. I don't think anybody on here is going to be interested in watching the Texas
They are,
game
though. They are. Yeah, I promise. Give her a follow.
GJ,
I just dropped her handle, so give her a follow, please.
GJ coaches my son's flag football team with me, so I'm all for the GJ Kinney hype and talk. Go watch JP's show later, guys.
And absolutely. He's a real
deal. Heather turned me on to the College Softball World Series over the summer, and I saw you there and covering that. That had to be an amazing experience.
It was such an amazing experience, and honestly, it's just because all those athletes are so amazing. And it sounds cheesy to say, but truly, that team was so impressive, and everybody on there just had such great personality, such interesting storylines to them too. I was so happy to see them win all. This is a team that has been so close.
They had that, and I was just going to say that it was such a nice arc for them because Oklahoma finally lost, and Texas had been so close for so long, and they have one of the most likable coaches, and they had nobody did it all. Everybody just did their job the way that they were supposed to. So it was really fun to watch them.
Yeah, it didn't feel like, it was almost the opposite of what they're facing in Texas Tech. There is no $1 million there's no.
No, they didn't have a Nigeria candidate. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you can point to anybody on the field if it's Mia Scott in the hot corner or Reese Atwood behind home plate, Tegan Kavan obviously in the circle. Like they just had so many players who just did their job rather than just one person carrying the whole team. And that's not a knock on Texas Tech and Nigeria, but it does say that there is no I in team. Okay, it's a team sport.
But there's a Nigeria.
You're just calling a spade a spade.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a championship, but it didn't get a ring this year. But we'll see.
I don't know if they ever will. Ann Parker, I'd love to have you on and we can talk about college softball because that's my thing. But we want to talk about Ohio State, Texas. We want to talk about the game that I think everybody has been looking forward to since the playoffs last year. And it's here. It is finally here. And I guess my first question is, does everybody think that it's going to live up to the hype that it's getting right now? Because that's all anybody is talking about right now.
Yeah, it's such a good point. I think it was maybe Mel Kiper today who said that there's never been a matchup this anticipated. And I think that's true, but I think when you look at a team like Texas, when we talked to Sark this morning before they started to head to Ohio State, when you are a team of that caliber, you aren't listening to that kind of stuff. And they are so locked into what they need to do, even when it comes to, Sark was saying like they went through how they are going to do their meetings on the road and what dinner is like in the hotel. Like, they have everything down to a science. It's so routine. And I think such a big part of that is because if you're focusing on what you need to do, like step by step like that, you're not going to be focusing on what everybody's saying on Twitter or anything like that. And I think for them too, it's also just a good learning test for these younger guys. Sark said this morning that they are bringing all freshmen on this trip, which is not usual. You don't travel with your entire team. There's a travel squad, and then there are the guys that sit at home because, quite frankly, they're not going to be hitting the fields, and you don't need them. But for this trip, everybody's going, and I think that speaks to, again, just getting that routine, and for these younger guys to learn what it takes and what it is like to go on a road trip of this caliber and to be in such a crazy environment like the shoe. And I think all of those factors just help kind of tune out that outside noise. So everybody outside of it is talking about it, but I think inside the Texas bubble, it's just another game.
So, Cord, do you feel the same way? Do you think that it's just another game for them? Do you think that what are you thinking is it going to be hyped? Is the moment going to be too big for either team?
Sorry.
Go for it.
It's in my opinion. I mean, I think from the team's perspective, it has to be that way. You have to have tunnel vision. You have to focus on the hand at task, or the task at hand. You can't read media clips. You can't listen to what people like us are saying because you're already one step behind. Because I guarantee you, Ohio State's doing the same thing. Any team is going to be, or most teams are going to be pretty dialed in and focused there. But as far as if you're asking from the national perspective, does this game live up to its billing and its hype? I'm pretty skeptical, to be honest with you, because there's so much turnover with both teams. You have so much unknown, and it's not going to be the prettiest football that either team will play. If this game was played in November or December, it's going to look a lot differently. You know what I mean? And so do I expect a very clean game from Texas and our offensive line with 4 new starters? Some have experience. I don't expect that. Do I expect Ohio State to successfully block Texas's front 7 for 4 hours? I don't really expect that either. And you have 2 inexperienced quarterbacks where I think mistakes will be made. But listen, if you love good defense, if you love special teams play, then, hey, I could say the hype, it might live up to it because you're going to see a lot of defense and special teams play are going to be very, very important on Saturday.
What do you think?
I know, Ethan, I know that you wanted to talk about some of the past, but I'm just so hyped about this game. I'm just you brought up the quarterback play. I think that's what a lot of people are losing. I think, and not to diminish it, but there's so much hype around Arch, and there's so much talk about Arch. There's all of these high expectations of him, but really with Sayin and Manning, we haven't seen either of them take meaningful snaps under center. So are we going to get that level of play? I think that there's a lot of pressure on Manning, and there's very little pressure on Julian Sayin right now because everybody is talking about him. And I know he can handle it. That's what they're designed for, right? You don't get to that level and not have that dog in you. But do you think that there's going to be a little bit of that element of I've got to go out and be flawless and I have to go out and be perfect?
Go ahead, Miss Ann.
Yeah, I think that is actually such an interesting point. That's something that Sark and Arch talked about a lot, especially last year when he was filling in for Quinn Ewers. A big emphasis for him is going out there and not overthinking. He always is trying to emphasize hey, just go out there, have fun, play football. And that sounds pretty trivial, especially coming from Arch Manning, who's supposed to be, the next generation quarterback. But when you have that much pressure on you, that's the way to do it. You don't want to be overthinking, and that's just something that they've always emphasized. And I think tomorrow that's just I have my days mixed up. On Saturday, it's Thursday.
Yeah, me too.
That's just the way that you have to approach it. You also just have to know, gosh, there's going to be some interceptions. If not this game, at some point in this season, there's no such thing as the perfect game, the perfect quarterback. And so just for him, go out, or what they're always saying to him and what he has echoed himself is go out, have fun, and then have a short-term memory. If you make a mistake, move on, because that's the kind of stuff that will just drown you.
Cord, what do you think?
I think that was really well said by Miss Ann. Sark knows and Arch knows, like, there's a lot of other talent around this program outside of number 16 on the offensive side of the ball. We won games last year, in my opinion, more so by the defensive hand than we did the offense. Definitely one of the better defenses we've ever had in school history, and an offense that struggled at times. Looked good in flashes, but so I think that the defense will be at the same level I truly do this year, which is really going to help Sark as a play caller and his young quarterback, and just know, like, hey, you don't have to necessarily be a hero on this play. Just don't cost us anything here. Now, there's going to be a time, 3rd and long, a big moment on the goal line, like Texas is going to have to, win on that play on the back of Arch Manning. But in my opinion, like, Arch doesn't have to go nuclear for Texas to win this football game. And I agree with him saying, like, mistakes are going to be made. And I think, with Arch's tutelage from his uncles, his dad, and grandfather, he knows that. And hopefully he can bounce back from mistakes the way that we think he will.
Ethan, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I think that obviously the pressure and all the story has been, or the biggest part of the story has been the Arch Manning story. From the Harold Manning family, now a Texas Longhorn. And everybody was waiting for him. And now he's in, and it's his big moment there. He's got a lot of pressure on him. Julian Sayin probably doesn't have the same, he's not getting the same amount of publicity. At the end of the day, I think that this game is going to be about probably settling the quarterbacks in. I would have to assume there's going to be a heavy emphasis on getting the run game going, controlling in the trenches. The line of scrimmage is going to be so important to gain control there. You've got great running backs in, for Texas in Wisner and Baxter. Ohio State has less experienced running backs in Peoples and CJ Donaldson. So they've got their work cut out for them to try, Ohio State trying to replace the likes of Judkins and Henderson. That's going to be tough. But then you have to look at X factors, right? Ohio State's got, on the offensive side of the ball, you got Jeremiah Smith. On the defensive side of the ball, you've got Caleb Downs. For Texas, you've got, the playmakers, Collins. And you've also, and I'm sorry, just trying to look at my notes here, but Simmons, the defensive line, Colin Simmons, and then the linebacker, Anthony Hill Jr. I mean, there's so many guys around there. The focus has been a lot on the quarterbacks, but I think it's going to be more about these other periphery players, and possibly special teams could be a huge role in this game. And you've got Jaden Fielding. He's not a big kicker, doesn't have a huge leg, but you've got an inexperienced guy out of the transfer portal coming in to replace Bert Auburn for Texas. How's that going to play out? You wonder.
Well, speaking of DJ
and you're
Kinney,
going to be in a hostile state. I mean, you're going to be in a hostile environment too. So that does factor into it. I don't want to jump ahead, but I do want to say, I think what you said, Cord, is that if this game was being played in November or December, it's going to look very different. I think that whoever wins this game, whoever loses this game, if it's not a blowout, I don't think at the end of the day it's going to matter much, because we're going to see both of these teams in the postseason. I think that both of these teams are built to go back into the playoffs. And now that there's 12, you can't leave a 2-loss team that one of their losses was to number 1 Texas, or one of their losses was to number 3 Ohio State, the first game of the year. So yes, do I think that this game matters? Absolutely, it matters. Do I think that it's going to have any indication on whether or not they make it into the playoffs if either of these teams lose? No. I think it's, if you're going to lose, it's to a number 1 or a number 3 team, and it's now. So this is going to be a really good test and a really good experience for either one of these quarterbacks going into the postseason, because they've already had that pressure immediately. They were thrown right into the fire. So
I think that's really well said. And, if you lose this game, you look at Texas's schedule, we've got a couple of really tricky games where you go to Florida and you go to Georgia and you got A&M at home. But like, looking at that schedule, we should handle business, more times than not. Even in those games, you feel pretty confidently Georgia will have to get over that. And same thing with you guys. You've got a Penn State. You've got an Illinois team who could be sneakier you know,
they're going to be the trap game. Yeah.
And then you also have the rival who has a little bit of, you know, the mental advantage, at least at the moment, you know, so you got to get over that. So I fully agree. You drop this game, you know, it gets a little bit trickier, but no, I fully expect to see both teams in the playoff, regardless of what happens on Saturday.
Yeah, the era of, sorry, you go, Ethan.
Oh, I was going to say, what say you?
Yeah, well, I would echo all of that. I think the era of undefeated teams is over. Ethan and I talked about that earlier today. That's just not really going to exist anymore. And, you know, to that effect with this game, it's so funny because it's so hyped up. But at the end of the day, it's almost like, well, what the heck? Like, if you lose, it's not going to bar you off of anything. And I was talking to Greg McElroy the other day on a conference call, and he made an interesting point just on that. He was like, if you lose this game, it's not going to be game over. And he even said, with Texas's schedule, Cord, you said it, you know, you have Florida, Arkansas is coming to town. You're going to Georgia. Like, those are some tough matchups. And I think that they'll walk away with maybe 2 losses, but like losses that honestly could help them in the long run.
Yep. Yeah, it's like Ohio State last year. Honestly, you know, Michigan fans love to, it's the rivalry, right? They're always going to talk about it. But I really honestly think if we had not lost to Michigan, we would not have played that well in the postseason because, you know, you go in with the devil may care. Like, you go in with I don't have anything left to prove. We've already lost. Everybody thinks that we're already bad. And I think that, like you said, you know, AP, can I call you that too? Is that okay?
Yeah, of course. Hey, of course.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So if you have that, you look at it as I hate the term quality loss, right? Like, a loss is a loss is a loss.
It doesn't feel good.
No, it doesn't feel good. But you get that quality experience, and you get that you get that live to fight another day kind of, and you get to watch game film on really tough teams. And to be quite honest with you, I think that you guys do have what it takes to go in and beat a Georgia and, you know, beat the likes of those teams. And that's just going to make you guys better. Same with us with, you know, Penn State. There's going to be a real mental key to it because Jim Knowles and, you know, James Franklin is, I think, playing for his job this year. So, you know, there's going to be a lot of that's a conversation for another podcast, right? But there's just a lot of positives that come into that coaches are going to find if there is those couple of losses.
Right. Now, there's a change in the coaches for Ohio State. We changed both offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. For those of you who might not know, Jim Knowles heads out as defensive coordinator. He heads to Penn State. We bring in former NFL head coach, longtime assistant to Bill Belichick in New England. We bring in Matt Patricia. He also brings in a coach from the who previously was with the Miami Dolphins to help out with the defensive backs. And then at offensive coordinator, we take Brian Hartline, who was the wide receivers coach and is an amazing recruiter, heck of a player from my alma mater, Glen Oak High School, and had to shout them out. But he goes to the offensive coordinator position. So Cord, AP, what do you think about those coaching? And I'm sorry, go ahead, Heather.
Co-offensive coordinator, though, because he's not going to be play calling alone.
Right. I mean, and he'll be up in the booth. So I know that obviously this is Ryan Day's scheme.
It always has been.
Right. And so, but going from a Chip Kelly to a Brian Hartline, you might see a drop off. I'm just curious to see, what would you guys say as you're scouting this out? Cord, AP, what do you think about the coaching changes for the Buckeyes and how that may impact anything in the game plan and how that plays into the matchup here?
For me, I almost think that this has the chance to play out kind of like the Michigan game last year. And again, this is from my Texas-centric POV, but you're facing the defending national champs, a lot of new coaches on that staff this year, like you mentioned, and then a lot of new personnel.
Yeah.
It has the same kind of storylines as what it was in week 2 against Michigan last year.
Yeah, going to the big house. That was I mean, it was a different Michigan team, but going to the big house nonetheless, and such.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys mollywopped them. It made my
That was
friggin'
that
day.
was so
Yeah.
good. We love that.
Mhm.
You know, if I watched that in Columbus, that just felt good.
Quietest the big house has been in a long time. But no,
Yeah.
for me, it's really, from a schematic standpoint, again, if this was played in November or December, these coaches have had time to, develop their scheme. Obviously, schemes are developed, but to see what everything looks like, to see what works. And so that is a major advantage, as I'll agree with Ms. Coleman there. That's a huge advantage that I think Texas has. I'm really curious to see what Matt Patricia does on the defensive side of the ball. Under Bill Belichick, he ran a lot of match quarter schemes. If he brings that and runs that on Saturday, my confidence in Texas is going to go up a couple of points. If he does more what Jim Knowles was doing last year at Ohio State, more some cover 2 and cover 3 stuff, and deals with Sarkisian's offense in that manner, then that I think we'll be in for a true dogfight. So I'll be really paying attention to these first couple of series and seeing what Matty P throws out as Steve Sarkisian and Arch Manning. And then y'all give me PTSD even mentioning Brian Hartline's name. That dude recruits everybody in our state. All the big receivers for about a decade went to Ohio State. It got so old watching Charlie Strong and Tom Herman not be able to beat you guys for a wide receiver. And it was all because of Brian Hartline. So he deserves this opportunity. I hope at some point Dave fully gives him, the control of the offense. I know it is Dave's scheme, but just as from looking at coaches, Brian Hartline, I mean, he deserves his chance, and he's had a heck of a tenure with Ohio State.
He has. He is just the recruiting piece of it and the development of it too, because you have they're kids, and that's what we all forget about. Like, let's do the PSA. Whoever loses this game, please don't freaking attack these kids. They are kids. They are 18, 19, 20 years old. They are babies. So please don't do that. Some idiots inevitably will, but I digress.
It's gotten so much worse because that first matchup between Texas and Ohio State was Ben Hartsock that dropped the pass, and they lost. They lost
2005. Yeah.
And he felt
he got death threats.
Yeah,
he got death threats,
and that was even before social media exploded as much as it has in the past 20 years, which is kind of crazy. I can't believe this is only the 5th matchup between these schools. Hopefully, this is there'll be more big matchups like this in the CFP era, in the expanded era, and the fact that you can afford a loss early on.
I love it. I love this piece of it. I love this piece of it. So let me ask you guys this. So let's do a little bit of a little game, Ethan. I'm going to throw a curveball at you. So, okay, we're on the field. Your Arch is under center. Caleb Downs is out there. Who's the better player, Arch or Caleb Downs?
Go. I defer to you, AP.
You could make the argument that Caleb Downs is the more established player, yeah, but I would still go Arch, honestly. I think especially when we look at Texas and we look at some of their weaknesses, especially in the red zone last year, remember how that Ohio State game ended. The thing that Arch brings to the table now is the ability to fix a problem that has kept them out of the championship game you could argue the past 2 seasons. I think his ability to make plays with his legs can be the difference, all of the difference really for Texas this year, and especially when we talk about the red zone. And for that reason specifically, I would go him.
Okay, that's fair.
Anna's gonna hate me. As Davidson Igbinosun calls him, give me Coach Downs. He is my favorite player in all of college football, and it's nothing to do with the jersey. I think he is the smartest, one of the smartest safeties that I've ever seen. Like his ability to dissect the play while it's happening is next level. I hated when he was at Alabama. We played him when he was a freshman. I was like, this is a perfect time to play Caleb Downs. You see him early in his career, you never see him again. Then he transfers to Ohio State. He's a part of what beats us in the college football playoff. Now we have to deal with him again. So Arch Manning will be a superstar. I genuinely believe that. Probably goes to the next level, does the same thing. Caleb Downs, in my opinion, has Hall of Fame potential in the NFL level, and I'm just really hoping Matt Patricia backs his butt up a little bit and that we can actually throw some deep balls so that he's not creeping towards that line of scrimmage like he did last year.
You want him to play free or nickel? You don't want him to play strong? Is that what you're?
I want him as far away from the football on every single snap as possible.
I mean, the coaches unleashed him last year. You know, after the Oregon,
They did. He played free, I think.
Yes, after the Oregon loss, Ryan Day, Jim Knowles kind of had a butting of the heads as to what they were doing, and it changed after that. But Caleb Downs, I think, you know, to answer your question, Heather, is just I feel that like Caleb Downs is in fact more established. So right now, today, I would say the answer to your question is Caleb Downs.
Okay, so next question then. Who do you think wins this matchup, Malik or Jeremiah? Because I feel like Malik is going to be the one that's covering. Malik Muhammad is going to be the one that's covering, right? Jeremiah, a rematch. Who wins those battles? Because Jeremiah Smith was held to only I'm sorry, was it 3 yards or something?
One reception.
Yeah, so he held him. So do you think that Malik wins the battle again this year?
You know, I think that you don't guard a Jeremiah Smith one-on-one. Malik Muhammad was a big part of that. And even when we did go man, we had someone bracketing him to the inside, or we set a safety back to jump the hot slant routes. You can't throw the same look at him over and over again. And so it's incredible to go back. We've been doing some deep diving, and actually on tomorrow night show on the Ghost and Friends YouTube channel, we are breaking out the film from the Cotton Bowl. We are showing you how Texas defended Jeremiah Smith and likely use that blueprint again. Now, Ohio State's going to have to get the ball out of their hands pretty quickly, because our front seven, I think, is really dang good, similar to how the Cotton Bowl the same way. Will Howard was getting the ball out of his hands fast. So when that happens, those muck coverages where you're trying to cover Jeremiah Smith up, it's a little easier for that quarterback to look elsewhere, because he knows there's going to be a more available route a little bit quicker than having to wait for Jeremiah Smith to get through a double team, or the mud that they're trying to throw him with the different disguises. But Jeremiah Smith's a heck of a talent. If it's one-on-one, it's Malik Muhammad, but I think Texas will have a really dang good plan again for Jeremiah Smith, because if we saw what he did in the Rose Bowl. You let Jeremiah Smith just run around free, everything is over, because then you start having to do everything around him.
Yeah, 200 yards in the first half.
It's over. Then they start handing the ball off to guys in the backfield, and I mean, like, it gets messy really, really quickly. He's a heck of a talent. Two best players in college football, Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs. Y'all got them.
It's going to take other contributions. It's going to take contributions out of the other wide receivers, Brandon Inniss and Carnell Tate, and we're going to get to see a big matchup of tight ends on offense. Max Clare, the transfer from Purdue for Ohio State, and it's Jack Endries, right?
Jack Endries.
I mean, so I know that for Ohio State, those other ancillary guys are going to play a very important role in helping with the offense and potentially unlocking some of Jeremiah Smith if they want to give him the ball. It's going to be a battle.
Well, I've been doing a lot of, I got to shout them out, the draft professors, give them a follow. I've been doing a lot of NFL scouting on the draft professors, and Carnell Tate has come up in the top 10 wide receivers that are going into the draft, and they're saying that he's going to be drafted second or third wide receiver. And so I think that Carnell Tate is going to need to have that coming out party this year, because he's got such raw talent. Everybody knows about Jeremiah Smith. There's no question there. But what are Inniss and Carnell Tate going to do? Is Carnell Tate going to show that he is that guy? So that's going to be and your receivers, and with Texas as well. The receivers are going to have to help their guys. There are going to be times where they're going to have the yips. They're going to overthrow. They're going to underthrow. They're going to throw it low, throw it high. Your receivers are going to have to make really good plays. So which receivers are going to help their guys out the most? I feel like this is probably one of the most evenly matched 1-3 games that we've seen in a long time. I think that sometimes they overhype a team, they underhype a team. I feel like both of these teams deserve the ranking that they have, and both of them deserve the hype that they have around the talent that they have. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me being delusional.
I don't want to be delulu, but it is. Again, Cord, you've mentioned this numerous times. If this game was being played in November or December, this would be a different thing. And we talked about this too. I think, Heather, the rankings. It's like, what do they really mean at this point? They really mean nothing. It's a sense that it's
for us. It's for we can do this. It's for us.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's for the big noon kickoff.
It is.
And that's what Sark says. He says it's great for college football for the fans. It doesn't really affect us or change anything.
Right. Exactly.
Now, okay, I want to throw a curveball out here myself. Okay. Who's got the better band?
Oh, geez.
It's a runaway. I'm sorry, guys. You got a great band up there for the Midwest, but better uniforms. Better uniforms, better halftime performance.
Okay.
We spell our state with 5 letters. We got one more on you on that. So we got more.
Spell it in script.
Okay, shots fired.
Fair.
Shots fired. And
hey,
Parker?
you came from Virginia. You're not a native to Texas, but you're down there. I'm gonna have to rely.
I just got to go with the homers here. I'm not going to lie. I'm not familiar with Ohio State's band, so I'm just going to go Texas on this one.
All right. Sorry.
Okay, that's fair. I'm going with the
best.
That's
good, right? It's kind of a cop-out answer, but it works.
Yeah.
Guys, I just got a text from the station. I'm going to head on back for our 10 o'clock show.
Okay.
I'll hop off here, but happy viewing on Saturday. And
thank you
guys
so
much for having me on.
Do you have a prediction for the game? In your parting shot, do you have a prediction for the game?
I'm going to say, and you know what? I will not name him, but one of the Texas players said, not even in a cocky way, in a very thoughtful way, off camera, said he thinks that they will win by 14. So I'm going to echo him. I think Texas wins by 14.
Okay.
All right.
Which is a bold prediction.
Follow Ann Parker.
Good to officially meet you, Ann.
Yes.
Very nice. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me on, everybody.
Thank you so much for being here. Good luck this evening. Have a great broadcast, and we will be in contact. And I'll be sending you the bat mitzvah invite in the mail, and we'll talk again soon.
All right. Bye, guys. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
That was great.
That was great. By 14, huh? We'll do our predictions at the end. I did a poll. On, I still call it Twitter. I'm always going to call it Twitter. So, yeah.
Forever.
No, my polls are also unfair because you have to take into consideration I don't have like a glaring Texas audience to either. So Cord, who do you think is going to be? Let's Arch Manning out of the picture here. Who is going to be the most important player on the field on the Texas side, offense or defense? Like, who do you think is going to be that key player that has to be flawless?
Can I give you one of each?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
please.
Perfect.
Yes.
So offensive side of the football, I think this is a really big matchup for Texas's wide receivers versus your defensive backs. I'm not saying a really great matchup, but it's a matchup that you're going to have to earn it. And this is what, in my opinion, this is what's going to win the game. I mean, that's a guy that, he had some penalty issues last year. In recent interviews, he's said he simply needs to get his head turned around a little bit better. So there's obviously a clear emphasis on, turning that penalty number a little bit down, but he's a big physical corner, very, very physical. And Ryan Wingo has very, very good get off. And I don't think last year he didn't have a terrible game, but was quite as prepared as he is now to handle the physicality of Igbinosun. And so that is a very big matchup. I think Wingo does win that matchup a couple times this Saturday. And, I mean, he's going to have to be, in my opinion, our go-to guy this weekend, because I really like what you're doing with Jermaine Matthews as far as covering up Parker Livingstone on the other side of the field. And then Caleb Downs roaming around the middle, hopefully not hounding DeAndre Moore too often, but Arch Manning and DeAndre Moore have a very good rapport. They, last year toured up together, and then Parker Livingstone is Arch Manning's roommate. So it's like, that to me, offensively, I'm expecting big things out of the wide receiver group, but I know it won't be easy. But Ryan Wingo, he's got to be the one that leads that crew. On the defensive side of the ball, a lot of talk about Anthony Hill Jr., a lot of talk about Colin Simmons, but all eyes for me right now going to be on Grayson Littleton. This is a freshman that plays nickel, and we're most likely going to be starting this man. And you're going to have to deal with Ryan Day mixing and matching Carnell Tate in the slot, Jeremiah Smith in the slot, and being sound in your assignments, covering up guys at man at times, and dealing with a lot of the underneath stuff, because Ohio State's going to throw some quick hitters at us. And so really, really curious. I think the coaches trust him enough. I mean, he's out there for a reason. You come in as a freshman at Texas, and on this defense, you get put out there. I think there's going to be a lot of trust. He might have a mistake or two, but I really think he'll be a huge player. Brandon Ennis, another guy that you guys are going to be able to put in the slot with a lot of speed. So really curious to see what we look like in those matchups, because, again, you don't have to have Jeremiah Smith just stand out there at the X every single snap and Carnell Tate at the Y. y'all are going to throw some trips and bunch formations around at Coach Peter Kwiatkowski for Texas. And it's just, how does this young man adapt? And I'm sure some of it will be some confusing looks, a lot of mesh and different things like that. And I'm a little nervous for him, but he's out there for a reason.
I love that. I love that because you just talked about a player that I didn't know about. I don't know about him. You know,
most Texas fans don't.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, like the Texas players that we know about are the Texas players that we've seen. So we don't know about that incoming class. So that's really interesting. So now I'm going to have to watch him. I'm going to have to watch how he performs, and hats off to a true freshman. Whew.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of guys. There's some there are new faces that Texas fans are going to see for the Buckeyes for the first time, and they're going to go, "Who's this guy?" Whether they transferred in. I mean, you're talking.
Well, I think Buckeyes are going to say, "Who's this guy?"
Well, that too, but Bo Atkinson, transfer from North Carolina. Is it Philip Daniels?
Mm-hmm. Philip Daniels? We actually haven't talked. We didn't talk about Max Clare as we left him. We completely left him out because you have a true tight end.
I briefly mentioned him.
No, but I'm just saying when we were talking about Ennis and Tate, you have a true tight end and Max Clare, and I think that he could be the safety net.
He's going to be an X factor. He could be an X factor right here when you need a quarterback. The run game and a tight end are like best friends for a new quarterback.
Right. Yep. Just ask Penn State, who couldn't make that combination work.
I mean, Texas wanted Max Clare in the transfer portal. Yeah. We pursued very, very hard. And, we took Jack Injuries. And happy to say I've had the luxury of getting to know Jack's dad pretty well here in the last couple of weeks. I think Jack Injuries is the best Texas tight end. At the end of this year, we'll be saying he's the best Texas tight end in the last 20 years. I'm not saying he'll be the best tight end in college football. I'm not going that far. I'm just saying for us personally and married to Steve Sarkisian and his scheme, it's a really, really good fit. So agreeing with you guys, Max Clare, Jack Injury is very likely to be big parts of the game plan and blueprint on Saturday.
Right. Cord, are you worried about the offensive line of Texas?
Yeah, of course. Because I haven't seen exactly what it looks like yet, brother. I've seen these guys, 4 of the 5. I've seen them on the football field. You know, Brandon Baker, the right tackle. He's the one guy that we haven't seen a lot of game reps from. But the other 4, I've seen them out there at times. Trevor Gooseby at left tackle was awesome last year against Georgia, against Texas A&M, played really, really well. So there's a lot of confidence in him. And then you go to center, we have a young man, Cole Hudson, who had started before. He has the vast
majority of the experience on the offensive line.
He does, and he started all over, and a guy that injuries are or what caused him to lose that starting role. And so it's a guy that, new starter technically, but like you just said, the most experience. DJ Campbell at right guard. This is a contract year. A guy that probably flirted just a touch more than he should have with the NFL last year, but this is where you go get paid. And Texas guys that are ready to leave a year early have been really, really solid. They've taken considerable growth as players. And so I'm hoping for the same for DJ. But left guard, man, it sounds like there's a little bit of, it's still in flux a little bit. We've got, I've recently been hired by InsideTexas.com, and Inside Texas has recently reported. Thank you very much. Not even a week old. Last Friday, I was happy to be added to that team, but reporting that our left guard, we have a 5-star from Allen, Texas. He, last 3 weeks, he ran with the ones. Last couple of days, Connor Stroh, his backup, has ran with the ones. They do different things well, of course, and then they, struggle with different things a little, that maybe the other doesn't. And so I think that from what I've gathered, I think Texas starts Connor Stroh, which for the casual viewer, casual Texas fan, they're going to be like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't even know that guy was on the roster. But Connor Stroh is a mountain of a man. Texas loves to have very, very big bodies and just get behind them. Inside zone is a big part of what Steve Sarkisian wants to do. Duo is a big part of what Steve Sarkisian wants to do. And last year, y'all saw it. We weren't very good up the middle at all against anybody. We had to favor the edges just because of the running back injuries early in camp, and then kind of the way that that offensive line that they blocked a little better off the edges. I think you see Texas try to attack more through the heart of the defense when they are trying to get going in the ground game.
Yeah, and I think that's your the improvement, I think, this year on some of the areas for Texas, and the improvement for some of the areas for Ohio State. Like, I think we need to have better defensive. Our corner play needs to be a lot more solid. I think that we have Jermaine Matthews, who actually stole a lot of snaps from Ennis last year. You know, we don't talk enough about, or not Ennis, but Igbignosin. We don't talk enough about that because Iggy, he's so handsy, and that's all anybody wanted to talk about. So Matthews got some playing time. We have, is it Devin Sanchez? I think it is.
Yes.
He was one of the first freshmen to lose his black stripe. I think we're going to get to see him. So I think that it's going to be surprising for both teams because we are seeing two completely brand new teams. Look at how many players Texas lost. Look at how many players Ohio State lost. 15 players to the draft. Right. That's just, you want to talk about a reload. It's a whole brand new team, but it's not like Texas is bringing back a ton of their players that got them there last year. You have new quarterbacks for both teams. You have a new line, new tackles, new guards, and even in the rotation. So I think that all of these predictions are a lot of fun, but I think it's going to be really fun to see how these players actually perform on the field on Saturday, because it's a brand new team. Even the players that are coming back, they're playing with the guys next to them they didn't play with last year.
Right. And for your reference, I'm looking here, according to ESPN.com, Ohio State had 14 players drafted. Texas had 12 players drafted. Only 17 of the 44 combined starters on offense and defense for both sides is returning. And Heather, to your point about these are basically new teams, I pose this question, I guess, to both of you, to all of us here, just a discussion point. How do you put the Cotton Bowl matchup in the rear view mirror? Do you think players are still thinking about that, or have they, because it is such a different group, right, that they're able to say, forget about it?
Yeah. I don't think so.
I don't know, because we have players that have called it a revenge game. We have players who have looked at that logo, and of course it's guys that had a big hand in the game last year. And Texas has kind of had the whole revenge mantra since the 2021 season. You go 5-7, you lose 6 straight Big 12 football games, and then the next season they dubbed it the revenge tour. And then after that, it was, well, we're leaving the SEC and everybody hates us, so it's like the revenge tour extended. Mm-hmm. And so they, for them, I'm just saying, I wouldn't be surprised if there's been some talk of that. But I guarantee you, Sark has hammered home the point that y'all are making. It is brand new football teams. I mean, completely brand new. Tons of question marks around both teams. But I promise, he's telling his guys, we are better built to answer those question marks at this juncture in the season than they are, and to go in with confidence and to get your lick back, because you walk into our state and you bring all your dang ice and snow and cold with you, and you break our hearts there on the goal line in one of the craziest fashions. I mean, Jack Sawyer was running into my soul. I was on the goal line the other side, that he was running at me. I was like, did he really just scoop the ball up that quick?
Am I dreaming? Yeah, like when that happened, it's one of those moments where, as a fan on either side of the ball, you remember where you were, you remember what you were feeling, you remember what you were doing. I mean, we as Ohio State fans remember the heartbreaking plays. Mm-hmm. It's man.
Well, to cap it off, I had my daughter plays club volleyball, so I had to drive back to Austin. Well, I don't even live in Austin, but drive into Austin from Dallas that night with all that weather. And then my father-in-law is a diehard Ohio State fan. His father played for Woody Hayes, and so they're big Buckeyes.
So that hurts. That hurts.
It's like, good morning. So good to see you today. It was rough.
Hey, Dad.
Heather, why are we just finding out about this? How did we not?
We don't talk about deep family secrets like that. Like, it doesn't just come up in conversation. There has to be context to it.
So my dad's father played at Penn State. Wife's grandpa played at Ohio State. So when we met each other, she's an Aggie. So, we've always kind of had the rivalry thing going behind us. Easy and fun stuff.
Is Texas A&M a big poser?
They are until they aren't, brother. I have a belief that at some point the sleeping giant wakes up.
I don't think so.
Aggies are going to hate me for it, but I've referred to them, y'all might be familiar with this adage, but the lovable losers of college football, man, because I have a great time with them. We get along on Twitter. They support the team. They're going to be there no matter what. I love the environment, the atmosphere. It's just like they can't reach their own expectations. And so maybe they just genuinely need to be lowered. But when you look at the resources, the money, facilities, everything they have, there's no reason that they can't contend.
On paper, they should be fine. But that was like, like a Florida State. Florida State last year, they went in and, such high expectations. And then they talk about crashing and burning.
Yep. And we know lovable losers, don't we, Heather? We have that team that's near Lake Erie that
they're not even lovable anymore. So now they are, because they have a respectable quarterback, but we'll talk about that on a different day.
That's a different day. Wow, that's amazing. So
it's again, I know we're getting close to the hour. We definitely don't want to keep it. This was great, Cord. Like, thank you so much for this. Let's hear. We got AP's prediction. Let's hear. What do you think this game is going to be? Do you think it's going? You don't have to give a score, but what do you think? Close win, blowout win?
I'm happy to give a score. If I think really early in this game, I'll be able to tell a lot. If Texas's offensive line comes out and is discombobulated and there's a lot of pre-snap penalties, that type of thing, I think we're going to be in for a dogfight, because I do think our defense will make it particularly hard on Ohio State at times. This will be a low-scoring game. I don't know if we talk about betting on here, but if you do have a sports book in the vicinity, the under is free money. Take that money and run, because these coaches want to win the game, and getting in a high-flying shootout is just not the blueprint. It's not going to happen. It's not, like Ethan said early in the show, a great point. They're going to want to establish the ground game, and both quarterbacks are really going to have an emphasis put on them to protect the football. But at the end of the day, I think Texas is a little bit better built to score inside the red zone here, and that's where I'm going to, I think both teams will move the football some. But with the legs of Arch Manning, and hopefully him being able to use the edge of the defense in the football field a little bit, hoping that right there is actually comes to fruition, because I can see it playing out in my head all day, of course. But I think that's going to be a little bit of the difference in the game, is who can score touchdowns in the red zone, who cannot. I think you go back to the 2005 game, Ohio State had every chance in the world to beat Texas, to beat Vince Young. The biggest difference was Texas limited them to field goal attempts.
Right, the red zone defense, right?
Yeah, and that, I think the better red zone defensive team, the team that scores and takes advantage of their opportunities, because I don't think they're going to be a ton for either team. But I've got it at 24-16 Texas. I think that
24-16.
Potentially, that which is 10 points below the under, just in case any of y'all are like, wait, that's kind of high scoring. I do have it pretty low under the total.
Yeah, that's still 10. Yeah.
But I respect the ever living heck out of Ohio State's program. I know there's a lot of scuttle about Ryan Day and his future. And I think it took a massive man to listen to his players vent to him, scream at him, cried at him the way that he did. A lot of these reports are coming out about the player-only meeting that they had after the Michigan loss, and he went and changed the run scheme. He went and changed the attitude of that offense. Yep. And so I'm not doubting Ryan Day as much as I used to. I will say that, but I do give Steve a little. I do genuinely think that Texas outcoached Ohio State last year in January, but I think Ohio State was just the better damn team. I mean, and that showed on the football field.
It was the better team in the red zone.
No, I mean that's what it came down to. And so I don't want to have any more red zone PTSD about that game. I'm tired of seeing Jack Sawyer in my nightmares. I need Texas to get inside the 20 and put the ball in the dang end zone. And it'd be cool if we could just run the football and be tough, Yeah. And I know that's going to be part of the plan, but of course everybody has a plan until you get up there in the horseshoe and you get smacked in the mouth by Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles and
he might be smiling. Sonny smiles after a while.
He is going to be smiling. There is not going to be, even if Sonny Styles is, he's a dog. Styles. I was so glad when he got the block O.
Yeah, absolutely. So Heather, what's your prediction and what was the final result of the poll?
The final result of the poll was Ohio State wins very closely. It wasn't actually as close as it was 56%, but 17% said Ohio State blowout. I'm like, okay, you guys are
out of here. Yeah,
and then 7% said a Texas blowout, and 20% actually said a close Texas win.
It's got to be a close game in the margin.
Yeah, so the overwhelming majority, 76% of the people think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a 24-21 Ohio State win. I think we win by a field goal. I think that's what it's going to come down to, is special teams. I think that you're going to see a sluggish first half. And I think you're going to see these teams come out completely different. They'll have worked out a little bit of the yips. By the second half, they're going to go in. They're not going to play as conservatively, I don't think, either team. I think we're going to see a little bit of conservative play calling in the first half, because I think they're all going to want to get a feel for the flow of the game, how the players are going to respond. So that's my prediction.
Right. I'm going to go. I'm going to take the approach of, I think it's going to be close. I could see it going either way. It's going to be a coin flip. Like you said at the outset, Heather, early in the show about, at the end of the day, whoever wins this or loses this, it's not the end all be all. Yeah. And so I am going to say that Ohio State, I don't think there's as big of a difference between the quarterbacks at this point, because of the level of experience. I'm going to go with Ohio State in a close one. I would say 23-17. 23-17 is what I'm going to call. Just go there. But anyway you slice it, it's all good. Now, Cord, here's the only question for you. If Texas wins, will they plant their flag, try to plant their flag in the middle of the Block O? Or does Steve Sarkisian have more respect than that?
It's tough because, even if you do have a ton of respect, these players, you've got so much going on, and they're sneaky rascals. You look last year at the Texas at Michigan game, I saw a flag. You look at last year, I was at Kyle Field, Texas and A&M. I did see a few players dancing pretty aggressively on the logo at midfield there when all the Aggies had kind of left the venue. And so Sark shut it down pretty dang quick. He was pretty mad. So I don't think you'll see it, but I hope that I have to worry about that, because that means that we won the dang football game.
Exactly.
I think that we look too much like, how to stop an opposing team from planting the flag on your logo?
Don't lose.
You win. So that's everybody got all bent out about that. We should have won. That's neither here nor there. So Cord, before we close this out, tell us again where we can find you and some of the work that you're doing, because guys, it's really good. It's really good. So follow 40 Acre Vibes, the ghost of Texas.
Really means the world for y'all to say that. Like, genuinely, you don't even know. So yeah, 40 Acre Vibes on Twitter, TikTok. I'm pretty active on both, especially on TikTok as the season goes.
Follow you on TikTok. Okay.
We'll have some content posted from the Horseshoe on Saturday. But yeah, 40 Acre Vibes, Twitter, TikTok, and then the YouTube channel is Ghost and Friends, and we have Big Ten coverage, ACC coverage, Big 12, SEC, and then 3 times a week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday, I am on Inside Texas's YouTube channel talking college football in general, but obviously a lot of Longhorns. My debut with that company will be this Sunday at 1 o'clock your guys' time, and I will be doing a little post-game show giving my thoughts on what happened Saturday between the Horns and the Buckeyes.
Yeah, check that out. Check that out for sure, because this is where it becomes universal. This is where the sports matter, because if you want to become a more well-rounded fan, you have to start looking outside of your own team. So I'll definitely check that out, and I will subscribe to all of the things. I'm already subscribing to YouTube and your Twitter, so I will check you out on TikTok. And, Ethan, do you want to close us out?
Yes,
on where you can find us?
All right, yes, please, everybody. Find us at Dawg Gone Pod on Twitter, at Dawg Gone Pod, Dawg spelled D-A-W-G, Dawg Gone Pod. You can follow me at egreen4325, Heather at Love Buckeyes, L-U-V Buckeyes, and don't fall for one of those ridiculous people who are trying to.
That's my only account. I only have one Twitter account, so please.
Right. And like and subscribe.
Oh,
please.
Why are people that way?
To us
I don't know.
On YouTube, the best doggone podcast in the land with Ethan and Heather. Please subscribe. We are going to have a fantastic college football season and all kinds of other content here, talking all kinds of sports, not just Ohio, not just Cleveland, but across the entire landscape here. Cord, thank you so much for joining us. This was fantastic.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
This is great.
Happy to do it.
Just talking football, and you've got a wealth of knowledge, and it shows. Thank you so much for being here. And I know she's already left, but thank you to Ann Parker Coleman, AP from KVUE in Austin, Texas, sports reporter, anchor. Everybody be sure to check her out. She's fantastic and really representing well. So, Heather, unless you've got anything else, Cord, unless you've got anything else.
Hey, just a quick thank you to you guys. Good luck. Enjoy the season. I will definitely, obviously, be subscribing, sharing anything that I can. It's been one of the crazier weeks of my life. So if y'all have shared anything with me on the timeline, please, I will go find it now and make sure I've done that. But it's truly an honor to have some fun and just talk ball, as you said, Ethan. Nobody, no crazy predictions. Like you said, we're not the 17% of your poll, I guess I'll say. Pleasure to be here, guys. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you so much. All right. So for Heather and our guest Cord, I'm Ethan Greenberg, and you've been tuned in to the best doggone podcast in the land with Ethan and Heather.
Thank you, guys.